Next up, Alien 3. Now, I know this is a film that a lot of people are not big on, to say the least. This is a pretty hated film for the most part. There are people who enjoy it, of course. I think almost every film has its fans. But for the most part, from what I've gathered, even from Daniel White, the biggest Alien fan I know, he does not like this movie, like, at all. And, you know, I went in and I watched the assembly cut, the newer version of it, which I know there was a lot of issues behind the scenes, that there was studio interference and whatnot, and David Fincher, who directed it, wanted his name off of it, and you know, disowned the film, and has never even seen the assembly cut to give his opinion on it, whatnot. So I mean, if I was just watching, I didn't watch all of it by any, but I watched like 5 or 10 minutes of Chris Stuckman's When Studios Interfere Alien 3 breakdown, and they showed the trailer. They were kind of pointing out like how fucked this production was from the start, and they showed like the teaser trailer, and it was like, on Earth, everyone can hear you scream, which is actually a great tagline for an alien movie set on Earth. But I was doing my own research, trivia and whatnot, and I know Ridley Scott they offered him to come back, and he said that he would do it if he could explore the origins of the xenomorphs, which obviously he did with Prometheus many years later. And a lot of the big reasons why they weren't doing this and that was because of money, because this was going to cost too much. And they even built $7 million worth of sets that they never ever used at all. Never once. Because they were rewriting the script during filming, during production, so much that the sets, those whole scenes with those sets were cut out. And that actually frustrates me, because I think the biggest issue with this film that I personally have, and I will say that on this viewing of the assembly cut, the much longer version, I want to say I don't know how much longer, but it's quite a big difference between the two cuts. Now, I don't know how it's edited differently, because it's an assembly cut, so I would assume that means that it's been assembled completely different, in addition to having new scenes interjected into it as well. I don't know. I'd have to watch them back to back to find out. But I did really actually enjoy this version for what it was. I love the look of this movie. I know I've seen people who are like, oh my God, it's a horrible looking movie. I disagree. I love how washed out it is. I love how dirty it feels. I feel like I'm on that planet with them when I'm watching the movie. I feel like I want to take a freaking shower when I'm watching it. So I think that they nailed it aesthetically, and I think that Sigourney Weaver gives a great performance. I really like her chemistry with Charles Dance. I really like some of the shocking moments. I like the premise for the movie. But getting to what I was going to say, my biggest issue with the film starts almost instantaneously, and that is cutting out Michael Biehn and, or should I say Hicks, and Newt. Why? And even I had mentioned in my previous video of Aliens that, you know, you could have, if you you could have either recast her, because this is many years later, which is easy, or if you even wanted to get fun with it, it could have been a thing where she woke up, you know, almost right away, a malfunctioning pod, and she, was in the ship by herself, kind of doing what Newt does, surviving off of scraps and figuring things out and whatnot. She didn't want to wake him up, and she could have killed him. I'm just spitballing here. Probably a stupid idea, but that you could have used the same actress. And, you know, recasting is obviously the easiest thing to do here. But Michael Biehn even was like, he was so upset that they didn't want him back that he wouldn't even let them use his likeness for the movie. They made a cast of him, and he was like, no, I'm not letting you use me, because I should have been back, which he should have been. And originally, the original script, because they didn't know if Sigourney Weaver was coming back, it was going to be the adventures of Hicks and Bishop, and it was going to be like a 2-part movie shot back to back, and Sigourney was not going to really be a part of it, and Newt was going to go live with her grandparents like right off the bat, and man, they were all over the place. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing here. And I've heard it's because of the producers, and they didn't even really want to do the movie anyway, and that's just such a shame. That's such a shame when people are just taking properties and saying, well, this was a hot property at one time, and even though I have no investment in it at all, like, personally, and I don't really want to even make this movie, I want to make a profit, so I'm going to kind of tap from that well again, but I'm going to also poison that well. It's like poisoning where you drink from. It's like, why would you do that? Like, that is so stupid to me. Like, I just, producers blow my mind sometimes when they do this kind of stuff. But as I said, I did enjoy this version, and I think that's probably because you had David Fincher on behind the scenes. Even if he disowns this movie, you can't take away from the fact that he directed this movie, so it's not going to be completely horrendous. There's going to be people who disagree with me here, and that's fine. I mean, I've made over 1,000 fucking videos now. I've had plenty of disagreements on my channel with people, and that's fine. We all have our opinions, but I do like the finished product here with the assembly cut. I haven't watched the original theatrical in a long, long time, so I can't speak on whether or not I'd like that, but I would assume the aesthetics and all that are pretty much the same, and obviously Sigourney in most of the scenes would be pretty similar. So yeah, I really like the performance. Charles Dutton as well. I think he's freaking great in this. The animatronic thing that they used on the Lance Henriksen Bishop, when she's like jacked into him and he's out in the garbage pit and she's talking to him and his face is moving, that's incredible stuff, man. That is really impressive FX work there. So I was really blown away by that watching that. I was like, well, wow, that's really good stuff. The CGI is rocky. I think at the time this was incredible, though. I mean, you're talking the 90s here. It's pretty good CGI for the 90s. But and then there's that one scene, like right in the beginning when the xenomorph comes out, because like the xenomorph is able to be much larger because it was inside of this like bison type creature, whatever the hell was living on that planet, and because the host is much bigger, then I guess it gets to gestate in there and grow bigger to come out, but it seems to be the same size, so it's not like it extrapolates from there, like if it's a bigger baby, it's going to be a bigger monster. It seems to be the same sized alien after it all. But yeah, there's that scene where it kind of comes out and it's like first walks away. And I don't know if that's like a combination of practicals and CG or whatever, but I was really impressed by the first movement of it and it ran across the screen. I was like, that looked fantastic, whatever that was. And then the rest of the movie, it looks like bad composite shots and whatnot. But for some reason, that one really landed for me. And I was like, oh, wow. And I have that Blu-ray anthology set, so it was a good quality thing. So, yeah. Okay, so it's an all-male prison that she lands on. They're kind of castaways. They've been escaped from New York, banned from the world. And they have taken a vow of celibacy. They've all found religion there, which, is pretty indicative of most prison systems. I mean, a lot of those guys will go in there and they'll find religion. Although, if a woman was thrown in there, I can assure you, which is, what does happen with a couple of these characters, but that whole idea of celibacy, I don't know how many prisoners take a vow of celibacy. I don't think they really... well, I guess they would kind of need to, if they were there for life and they didn't want to be with men at all, then yeah, celibacy would be their thing. But yeah, as soon as you throw a girl into the mix, I mean, especially someone who's as attractive as Sigourney Weaver, I think a lot of people are going to change their minds right off the bat. So, yeah, just killing Newt was, I'll say it's shocking. I mean, especially the autopsy scene, where she's like feeling around on a little girl's dead chest and like they keep showing her eyes, and then they like slice into her, and they're looking in her insides. Some dark shit, man. She's like, what, 10? So, that's pretty brutal. And the remains that you see of Hicks are mangled, and great practical effects. I mean, it looks like a legit mangled body. So they couldn't use this cast, so one of the guys probably was like, I can't use it, like all angry, like I made a perfect cast of him, fucker, and just took that's not what happened, because it wouldn't look like a real human inside. They're not that detail oriented, but you know what I mean. It's just kind of funny in my head, like, motherfucker. But I completely understand why he didn't. It's bullshit. Why didn't they call him? It's it's kind of like Terminator 2, like T2 Judgment Day. They have the really touching scene between Sarah Connor and Reese coming back in her dream to visit her, and they cut it from the movie. They added it later in the special edition, but they cut it from the fucking movie. What's up with Michael Biehn, man? He can't catch a break when sucks. Because yeah, he should have been in this movie, 100%. That was such a bad decision. If made today, one good thing the internet does do with people's outrage and whatnot is we have a better sense of what people want today. We sure as shit have a better sense of what people don't want. But I think we get a better product because, we are pretty vocal about our desires. And, if they were like announcing an Alien 3 and they were like, on the fence, oh, should we get Michael Biehn or whatnot? And there was that source there, the internet, where you could just go to it like these guys do. I'm sure they have people who kind of go out and look for the general opinion on things. It would be an overwhelming, you have to bring Hicks back. Newt, I think that would just be easy to be like, yeah, she went to live with her grandparents. Because it didn't have to be on this prison planet. It could have been after they landed, a week later, a month later, a year later, 10 years later, whatever. And her and him are married. They clearly had a romance going on there that was, unsaid. And it's kind of bullshit that she fucks Charles Dance in this movie, like almost right out the gate. And then, her and Hicks never got to get together. That's some bullshit. Hicks got gypped, man. She goes there and she's like, I've been out here a long time. It felt a little shoehorned, and I'm not sure why, because it's not like there's some hot sex scene between them and there's like gratuitous nudity and it's time to show Sigourney's body or anything like that. It's just, it cuts to the next morning or that night or whatever, like after the fact, and it's like, oh, well, I guess she got laid. Okay, I mean, good for her, great. And I do really like one of my favorite scenes, if not my favorite scenes in this movie, is with her and Charles Dance's character, and they are just having dialogue that they are sharing this really almost intellectually stimulated, sexual tension-filled moment, and I really I feel it between them. It's good. It's good stuff. So I get it. It's just, it does feel, I don't know. I guess she's just like fucking done. Like I'm gonna get laid. I'm gonna have some fun, and I don't blame her. It's, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. And now, why she lies is weird to me. So he's going to perform the autopsy and he needs a reason why, and she's like, cholera. And he does it anyways, knowing she's full of shit, because he's like, I'm not a total idiot, so tell me what's really going on here. And she just won't tell him. And then he covers for her by saying it could be a cholera outbreak, which kind of gives us a timeline, sort of, because he said that there hasn't been a cholera outbreak in over 200 years. So I would assume it's 200 years past, now or then. So it's got to be at least 200 years in the future. But anyway, and then this is the other one was like 57 years in the future, and then this one I don't think is even said how long she was out there. I don't think it even ever gives us that information, so Could have been a month. It could have been years. I don't know. Long enough where the guy who made Bishop still looks exactly like Bishop, not much older. So that should be a pretty good indication right there that it has to be within like 5 to 10 years. Otherwise, he would look considerably older. So there's a key, because if that guy really was human, which it does seem to appear that he was, because he gets hit over the back of the head and he's like all hurt and whatnot, and I don't think an android would be that hurt. I think that does show us how much time has passed. Not a ton. And okay, but I don't understand. Yeah, I don't get the lie. Like, why? Why lie about it? Like, she goes and tells the main dude, the guy who's running the place. She's like, I don't understand why she lies to him, because she thinks everyone's gonna think she's crazy. Like, she needs everyone to know. Maybe, I don't know. Weird to me. She doesn't want to panic them? Is that what it is? She doesn't want them to tell Wayland-Core? I don't know. I have nothing. I'm not sure. And yeah, he says he's not a prisoner, and then they have their moment later after their sex, and the crazy guy's in the room, and he tells her that he came back to work drunk and ended up prescribing too much painkillers to people and getting people killed. And it's like this really heartfelt moment between them, and he had to go to prison, and he got his license downgraded to like a Class C, whatever the hell that means. And then he's killed. And it's a very shocking death. You just don't expect it. You don't expect her love interest. You think he's going to be like the main character with her to the end, and boom, just head. And it's a great kill. It's like, boom, man. His whole head is missing right here. It's gnarly. It's graphic, and it's awesome. Great kill. I think it's a fantastic moment in the movie, because you just don't see shit like that ever. And for a major production, third movie in a trilogy of popular franchise, it's a bold move. I mean, it's not a known character in the franchise. They did it to Ripley. I think most people would walk out of the theater, except for me. I would be like, yes, pull a Psycho on us, even 3 films deep. I'd be all about it. You just never expect it. I like the unexpected. And then she's almost raped, and that scene I think plays pretty strong later, because she ends up having to work side by side with those guys, and even like saving some of them, and that's a moment. But I don't know, I feel like she it's fucked up 100%. I'm not even gonna try to defend it anyway. Why would I want to? But I don't know. I think she kind of sees that it's almost like the what is it, like the scorpion and the frog, or whatever the hell that story is. Like, well, you knew I was a scorpion or something. Like, she knew what she was dealing with. She's on a planet of rapists and murderers, and when she gets in there with them, it's kind of like, you knew who you were with. Doesn't justify it. It doesn't know this and that. And I think she just rises above it. And Ripley is just the moral center of this film in a pretty, she's almost like a gunslinger in a lawless land, right? So she's like the only person that seems to have any decency to her and is trying to help, and she's dealing with scum and villainy. And through that, she kind of finds her own redemption by sacrificing herself for the greater good of everybody, which I think is a great moment. Now, this assembly cut, please correct me if I'm wrong here, and maybe this is in the next movie. I don't think it is. It was in this one. In the original theatrical cut, doesn't the fucking xenomorph rip out of her chest and she like holds it as she's falling into the fire? Am I crazy on that? I swear that's what happens, because in this one she just falls straight down and they scream, and then she goes into the fucking fire, and that's that. And then essentially the credits roll after another minute. I was expecting it to happen, and it didn't. And I was like, wait, what? I swore that thing like ripped out of her. But we find out in this that she's impregnated with a queen. Now, how? I have no clue. I guess the queen was on board for a minute and was ejected, and somehow laid one of another queen egg, or maybe she... I don't know. I mean, I guess I guess my theory would be, and I don't see how this would work because Newt is found and she's drowned and her body seems to be in pristine condition, but we don't really know what happens with a queen. But Newt was taken below and cocooned, and she was going to be turned into an egg, but maybe she was given some kind of a parasite of some sort. That, I don't know, I'm stretching here. How Sigourney's or Ripley's character becomes like that, there was a face hugger and we see it melts through the glass, but is that face, where'd that face hugger come from, and why did it impregnate her? Because the other one died, it knew that she needed to be, I mean, I guess it would have left it behind, right? Like, I don't know, it had to be, that it got in there, and that's what made this malfunction after her glass was broke by the thing, and then they landed on a wrong planet. It's all just so fucking convoluted, but that doesn't mean I don't like it, because I do. But yeah, I'm trying to figure it out here. And Bishop doesn't want to live like that, which I thought was interesting. You know, it's not about vanity. It's just he just doesn't want to live as an imperfect thing. I guess androids probably hold themselves to a very high standard, and if their processors and everything aren't working as perfect as they can, it's like, nope, I'm not top of the line. I'm not good enough. I just don't want to live like this. Like, end it for me. And she does, and it's kind of a sad scene because we know how much she distrusted him in the last one, in the second one, and now they've kind of created almost a bond in a way. And it's a sad thing that he's barely in this. We find out there's no weapons on the planet, which of course makes sense. And why did the aliens kill? I mean, like, the ones that they string up, they go to cocoon to make more eggs so that the eggs can make more aliens, so that the aliens can make more eggs, right? I mean, that's kind of what Daniel and I were discussing. But why like, you know, why kill people? Why mutilate their bodies? Why subsistence? Like, some they eat and some they turn into eggs? I mean, that's gotta be it. But I was watching this, like, why do they kill people? Just because they're protecting their territory, the territorial, or, you know, can they sniff out which ones are breeders and which ones aren't? I don't know. Clemens, there it is. That's Charles Dance's character's name. Ripley, of course, is conveniently put in charge again. No one wants the responsibility, and they start taking orders from a woman. At least that's addressed, though. Like, I ain't taking orders from her. Yeah, I mean, there's the whole, like, montage of them putting together this trap and working with what they got, you know, just kind of throwing everything in the middle and being like, here's what we got to work with. And I like that, because this movie kind of goes back to its roots. The first one is one alien caught on a spaceship, and there's nowhere to run. And they kind of made that true in this one. It's just one alien and nowhere to run. Like, these guys have no weapons. They have, you know, no training, no experience in being able to handle something like this. They're not soldiers. They're not properly equipped or anything. And so it was like, one was that way, and then two really upped it and threw Marines in there, and they were all prepared, and they had to throw a freaking 1,000 aliens at them. And then in this one, they brought it back down to one. They went, like, back to the basics, which is what a lot of people usually like, but no, it didn't work for most people. And this plan horribly backfires, quite literally, and burns a couple of them up, which is kind of messed up. And then the main rapist guy, the one who puts on the goggles and screams as a celebration dance of rape, I guess, he's the one who, I don't know, in a moment of trying to freaking gets some kind of redemption or a sorry or whatnot, his apology to Ripley, like lures the thing into that toxic waste containment area where there's no fucking way it can get out of there. So yeah, I liked that. I liked that he kind of had that moment, and I recognize that actor from tons of shit. He's been in lots and lots and lots of stuff that I know. I just don't know his name, like his actual name off the top of my head. And then the crazy guy goes and lets him out. I think this is probably an eye roll moment for a good amount of people. Like, oh God, here we go. The crazy dude's gonna go let him out. What he was doing there was I have no fucking clue why he was doing that, but he's crazy. You can't question crazy people. That face-to-face with Ripley, where she's turning her head to the side and it's drooling, I think that's one of the most iconic shots in the entire franchise. So, if nothing else, that is a great shot of a bald head, Sigourney Weaver turning her head to the side, and the thing's really close to her face, and it kind of can sniff out that she is preggers with the queen. So it's not just some, little worker ant. This is a queen. She, this thing can't kill that. No, this woman needs to... Because I was wondering why the gestation period was so much longer for Ripley, but because it's a queen, I can accept that it would be different, that it would need to grow longer or whatever. How she couldn't feel that thing moving around inside of her and growing is just idiotic to me. There's no fucking way. But because when they look at it, that thing's like moving around. It's moving around on her heart and all these organs inside. Hell no. You would feel it for sure. And yeah, they come and they're gonna rescue her, and they tell her, like, we can save you, which is probably bullshit. I think that they would, even if they could save her, the amount of financial trouble alone that she's caused them by blowing up the Nostromo, blowing up LV, whatever. Or what was it? LV? Is that the planet? Oh, I had it written down somewhere, but I don't got it no more. Oh well. Isn't that the letters? LV fucking something. 3 letters, 3 numbers. Anyway, then yeah, she nukes that. They're just like, hell no. Like, she has got to go. So even if they could save her, which I'm really iffy on, I don't think she would have ever woken up from that regardless. Like, oh, you're going to go to sleep now. I think I'm going to go to sleep now. I'm starting to yawn. It's early. What the hell? I've been working really hard today, though. And I don't know. I don't feel like 85 really ever plays into this all that much. Like, he's in denial of, he denies her what she wants because he wants to go home. And there seems like there's going to be this moment where he turns on her, and it's all going to be because it's like waiting for a response or waiting for acknowledgement or something like that. And it just keeps coming across the screen. He's thinking real deeply about it. And then it just, I don't know. I don't really ever feel like it plays into it all that much. A little bit, but not too much. And then, yeah, I mean, they're kind of all on her side at the end when the thing's pushed into the lead. They're all there. They dude up there on the control mount thing. He's there, and he helps her go out. And yeah, when Lance Henriksen shows up and says that was the model was based after him and whatnot, I think that's pretty cool. It was a pretty cool moment. And he's like, I promise you, we have to kill it. It's the only way. And then she calls him out on it. And then he like immediately changes his tune. Like, you don't understand. It's such an important and, whatever. It's like, dude, she broke through your bullshit in 2 seconds. And then, she throws herself into the fire. But I swear things pops out of her chest. No? But yeah, I like that Ripley, she goes out protecting people. Like, she goes out knowing that maybe this could be true. And a lot of people would just be like, fuck it. I can have it taken out of me, and then once I'm good again, then I can go back to the fight and make sure this thing is dead. Like, they would go to self-preservation first. And Ripley is, more about the preservation of of everyone but herself. So she does. She ultimately sacrifices herself for the greater good of everybody because she knows what Wayland's going to do, and they're going to fuck it up, and this is going to become widespread, and it's going to wipe out whatever planet that they put it on, because this thing would spread very, very fast. So yeah, the hot lead and then the water being poured on it is what makes it explode. So it's like super, super hot, and then when you cool it down too quick, that's what makes it explode, right? That's what happened there. Yeah, I definitely do not hate this movie by any means. I actually quite enjoyed myself. Now, the next one, I will be surprised if I find myself enjoying it any more than I have on other viewings, which has not been almost at all. I have not been a big fan, and I had a huge crush on Winona Ryder back in the day. She's kind of nutty now, but once upon a time, Winona Ryder was, whew, my God, she was it for me for a while, and this was during that heyday. That was during the Winona Ryder love phase, and she couldn't even help me with this movie. The freaking cloning someone whose body fell into freaking lava. Okay, go for that. I mean, I guess they kept a specimen. I don't know. We'll see. It's directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet, who did Amélie, which I'm a huge fan of. Saw like opening night in theaters, and I loved that movie. And Delicatessen and all this. He's a good director. He's a great director. It's just, I don't know. Hopefully I get it this time. Ron Perlman's in it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to go watch it right now. So we'll talk about it probably later tonight. Adios.